Nah, but Drake, my brother though. Like that's my boy. So it's like when we bet and gamble, like it's really ain't about no money. It's really about this fun. Family calling, man. I need this. Everybody, like this shit is not right, my nigga.
The music industry dazzles the world with its glamour, but behind the platinum records and luxurious lifestyles lies a shadowy undercurrent of power, control, and exploitation. For young artists like YK Osiris, the cost of fame isn't just measured in dollars or accolades. It's a steep price paid in emotional turmoil and personal despair. Once celebrated as the rising star behind hits like Worth It, YK Osiris is now at the center of a chilling narrative that raises questions about the true nature of the entertainment industry. His story is one of talent, hope, and promise corrupted by whispers of manipulation from some of the most powerful figures in music, including Sean Diddy Combs and Drake.
But what people I don't think realized was he had cameras all over the place, unbeknownst to them. And now he has all that footage, supposedly. This is what I'm told. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens if, you're a huge iconic, TV star or movie star, and you're in some very,
We begin with the meteoric rise of Osiris Williams, a Jacksonville native whose natural charisma and talent propelled him from obscurity to stardom. By 2019, his debut album, The Golden Child, had catapulted him into the limelight, earning him 2 platinum singles. His boyish charm and self-deprecating humor made him a fan favorite, especially on social media, where his comedic antics, like showcasing a Gucci 2-piece suit to 21 Savage, went viral. Yet beneath the surface of his carefree public persona, cracks were beginning to show. Fame, it seemed, had come at a cost.
You struggling? You struggling? With them push-ups?
The warning signs were subtle at first. YK's financial troubles began to surface as he struggled to maintain the image of success that the industry demands. Reports of him selling off luxury cars and his erratic social media posts hinted at deeper struggles. Then came the infamous trip to Jamaica, an extravagant getaway that on the surface seemed like just another perk of celebrity life. But YK's cryptic captions on Instagram during the trip, coupled with his increasingly erratic behavior, painted a different picture. His interactions with Diddy during this time raised eyebrows as fans speculated whether the young artist was merely a guest or a pawn in a larger, more sinister game. The unease only deepened with YK's appearance on The Breakfast Club, where he found himself fielding uncomfortable questions about his relationship with Diddy. The interview, meant to promote his music, quickly veered into awkward territory. YK's body language spoke volumes: nervous laughter, darting eyes, and vague, evasive answers. When asked about Diddy, he stumbled over his words, deflecting the question with a half-hearted joke. The tension was palpable, leaving viewers to wonder what he wasn't saying. Around the same time, a video surfaced of YK performing his hit song Worth It aboard Drake's private jet, a performance that was less a celebration and more a repayment for a $60,000 debt. The spectacle was humiliating, reducing the once promising artist to little more than a court jester for the industry's elite.
What are you talking about? I'm giving you an out. I'm not Baby, I'm not Boosie. You don't owe me no 2 rags, 5 rags. You owe me 60 bands. I'm playing the song right now. You ready?
The power dynamics between YK and these influential figures were impossible to ignore. Drake, one of the most successful artists of his generation, and Diddy, a mogul with decades of influence, seemed to hold YK in their orbit, but not as an equal. Instead, he appeared to be a pawn, his talent leveraged for their amusement. The humiliating video of YK serenading Drake was shared widely on social media, with fans and critics alike questioning whether the young artist was being exploited. Was this simply the price of admission to the upper echelons of fame? Or was something darker at play? As YK's public image began to crumble, his private struggles spilled into the open. In a series of deeply troubling Instagram Live videos, he revealed the depth of his despair. "Everybody hates Osiris," he lamented, his voice cracking with emotion. He spoke of feeling abandoned and ostracized, even by those he once considered friends. "Drake doesn't talk to me, Lil Baby doesn't talk to me, nobody in the industry f***s with Osiris," he confessed, his pain raw and unfiltered. The videos painted a harrowing picture of a young man who had been chewed up and spit out by an industry that once celebrated him.
So you tell me why should I keep living? I don't get it. Like, why y'all saying like y'all would tell me all the time.
But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of YK's breakdown was his repeated references to emo spirits and the devil, a cryptic nod to the conspiracy theories that have long swirled around the music industry. In his darkest moments, YK seemed to hint at forces beyond his control, forces that had drained him emotionally, spiritually, and financially. His cries for help were met with concern from fans and fellow artists alike, but the underlying questions remained. What had driven him to this point, and who, if anyone, was responsible? As the story of YK Osiris unfolds, it becomes clear that his struggles are not just personal, they are emblematic of a larger systemic issue within the music industry. His rise and fall expose a culture that thrives on exploitation, where young, vulnerable artists are lured in with promises of fame and fortune, only to find themselves ensnared in a web of manipulation and control. For YK, the journey from Jacksonville to the top of the charts was supposed to be a dream come true. Instead, it became a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the hidden cost of chasing stardom.
Look at Diddy, for instance. Let's take a look at him. Let's take a look at, he has videos. He has videos of the parties. Now, what I've heard, which I don't know how much of it is in mainstream media, I don't really follow the story that much, but what I've heard from friends that are attorneys, friends of mine that have represented me before, agents and so on, is there's a bidding war going on right now.
His Instagram live sessions marked a breaking point, but they also served as a rallying cry. Fans flooded his comments with messages of support, urging him to seek help and reminding him of his worth. Even fellow artists like Big Sean reached out, offering words of encouragement and solidarity. "Love yourself first," Sean wrote, "so you don't need everyone else's love to function." But for YK, the road to recovery would be long and fraught with challenges. His admission that he felt drained and emotionally broken revealed just how deeply the industry's pressures had affected him.
I'm not making money from music.
And then there were the conspiracy theories, whispers of spiritual manipulation and rituals that have long haunted the entertainment world. YK's references to emo spirits and the devil-fueled speculation about the darker forces at play in his life. Was his breakdown the result of personal struggles, or was it symptomatic of something more insidious? As fans and critics alike grappled with these questions, one thing became clear: YK Osiris' story was far from over. The narrative of YK Osiris is not just one of personal tragedy, it is a mirror held up to the music industry itself, reflecting its darkest corners and most uncomfortable truths. His journey from rising star to broken man forces us to confront the cost of fame and the systems that perpetuate exploitation. As we delve deeper into his story, we are left with unsettling questions. How many more young artists must suffer before the industry changes? And who will hold the powerful accountable for the damage they leave in their wake? But what if YK Osiris isn't alone? What if his story, his struggles, his breakdowns, his cries for help is part of a much larger, darker pattern within the entertainment industry? As we turn our attention to the broader allegations surrounding figures like Sean Diddy Combs, Usher, and even Justin Bieber, the pieces of this puzzle begin to form a chilling picture. The whispers of manipulation, exploitation, and psychological torment that have long haunted the music world suddenly feel less like conspiracy and more like a carefully orchestrated system. And if YK Osiris is one of its victims, how many others have been caught in its web?
To not be involved with a famous singer, to not come out, here's the price. And that they're just selling to the individuals that are in those, this is what I heard, they're selling those videos. So if you're Tommy X, and Tommy X is a big movie star, and he was at some of the Diddy parties, he was in one of those bedrooms with 3 other men, and he's happily married to a woman, and blah. Tommy doesn't want that video to come out. He does not want it to come out.
It begins with Diddy, a name synonymous with power in the entertainment world. For decades, he has cultivated an image of success, wealth, and influence. But behind the carefully curated public persona lies a series of allegations that are impossible to ignore. From the infamous freak-off parties where attendees were reportedly coerced into compromising situations, to the resurfaced accusations involving Usher and Justin Bieber, Diddy's name has become entangled in a narrative of control and exploitation. In one particularly troubling claim, it was revealed that Usher, at just 14 years old, was sent to live with Diddy as part of a mentorship arrangement. According to Usher himself, this was a period of learning the lifestyle, a cryptic phrase that, in hindsight, raises unsettling questions.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right?
Justin Bieber's connection to Diddy follows a similarly disturbing trajectory. At 15, Bieber was thrust into the orbit of one of the most powerful men in music. In a resurfaced video, Diddy can be seen standing alongside the teenage star, boasting about their close relationship. For the next 48 hours, he's with me, Diddy says, his tone almost possessive. The video has since gone viral, sparking renewed speculation about the nature of their interactions. Were these relationships genuinely about mentorship, or was something more insidious at play? And why do these patterns seem to repeat, with young male artists finding themselves drawn into Diddy's world only to emerge with stories of emotional trauma and strained relationships?
It was just an escape for me. I was just young, like everybody in the industry and people in the world who experiment and do.
The allegations become even more troubling when we consider the concept of spiritual energy harvesting, a term that has gained traction in discussions about the entertainment industry. According to some insiders, powerful figures within the music world exploit the energy and talents of young artists, leaving them emotionally and spiritually depleted. Sloan Bella, a psychic who has spoken out about these practices, has described them as a form of ritualistic control, a way for the industry's elite to maintain their power at the expense of the vulnerable. While these claims may sound far-fetched, they resonate deeply when viewed through the lens of YK Osiris's experiences and the public breakdowns of other young stars. Take Usher, for instance, whose early career was marked by a close relationship with Diddy. While Usher has gone on to achieve monumental success, his journey has not been without controversy. Allegations of mistreatment, both during his time with Diddy and later in his career, have surfaced repeatedly. In one resurfaced interview, Usher spoke cryptically about his time living with Diddy, describing it as wild and edgy. He avoided specifics, but the undertone was unmistakable. This was not the typical mentorship experience. And then there's the infamous video where Diddy jokes about sharing a bed with Usher, a moment that has fueled speculation about the true nature of their relationship.
My brother right here from day one, we used to wake up and, check out.
What makes Usher's story even more unsettling is the environment he was exposed to during his formative years in the industry. At just 14, he was placed in an arrangement that blurred professional boundaries. Sources close to the situation have described flavor camps, where young artists were allegedly brought to mingle with industry elites under the guise of mentorship. These gatherings, often shrouded in secrecy, were said to include extravagant parties that pushed boundaries and normalized behaviors far beyond what any teenager should encounter. Usher's own reflections on this time suggest that these experiences were less about artistic development and more about conditioning him for a lifestyle that prioritized excess over stability.
Did you ever spend time with the guy? Did you ever meet Diddy?
I've met him before, yeah.
How was he?
Very nice guy, very smart, super business. He's very successful.
The rumors surrounding these camps have only grown over the years, with multiple insiders hinting at a culture of control disguised as mentorship. Usher himself has never directly accused Diddy of wrongdoing, but the anecdotes surrounding their time together paint a troubling picture. One story, which has circulated for years, involves Usher being exposed to environments where inappropriate behavior was not only tolerated but encouraged. These experiences, coupled with the immense pressure to succeed, likely contributed to the emotional toll he would later face, proof that even a superstar like Usher was not immune to the industry's darker side. And then there is the question of how these early experiences shaped Usher's relationships with others. As he grew into adulthood, his career flourished, but controversies continued to follow him. Allegations of personal misconduct and strained professional relationships suggest that the patterns established in his youth may have lingered, leaving lasting scars. The mentorship that was supposed to launch his career instead seems to have embedded him in a system where trust was a double-edged sword, offered freely, only to be exploited later. Usher's story, like YK Osiris's, reveals the cyclical nature of exploitation in the industry, where even those who rise to the top cannot escape the shadows of their beginnings.
I don't know how much, I don't like to say things that I know unless I see it. That there's a little difference, but was it discussed? Was there descriptions from people I know that were at those? Yes, but here's another thing. So how many of these big entertainment parties and over the years and everything, with as successful as you are, have you been around? Does anyone ever come up to you at a certain hour and say, okay, it's time to go? At those parties, they did.
Justin Bieber's story is equally unsettling. As his career skyrocketed, so did his struggles with substance use and emotional instability. While Bieber has since spoken openly about his journey to recovery, questions remain about the influences in his early career. Diddy's role, though never explicitly detailed, casts a long shadow. Allegations have surfaced suggesting that young artists like Bieber were lured into a lifestyle that prioritized excess and control over their well-being. The promises of fame and fortune came with invisible strings, leaving them entangled in a system that prioritized profit over humanity.
You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot.
And what about the women in this narrative? While this story has largely centered on male artists, the broader allegations against Diddy also extend to his treatment of women. From the civil lawsuits filed by Cassie and other women to the harrowing claims of coercion and abuse, a pattern of exploitation emerges. Cassie's lawsuit, though settled out of court, detailed years of control and manipulation. Her allegations of being forced into situations against her will, situations that Diddy referred to as freak-offs, are deeply disturbing. These claims are not isolated. They fit into a larger tapestry of power dynamics that have plagued the industry for decades.
Same thing for Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the interesting thing about the Epstein and the theory about Epstein is we know he filmed people for sure on that island. He has a lot of movies, a lot of films of people that are very, very powerful political figures, and entertainers, business people. So, do you really believe that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself? Of course not. Of course not.
As this narrative unfolds, it becomes increasingly clear that YK Osiris's experiences are not unique. Rather, they are emblematic of a system that thrives on power imbalances and the exploitation of the vulnerable. The music industry, for all its glitz and glamour, has a dark underbelly that few are willing to confront. The stories of YK, Usher, Bieber, and others serve as a stark reminder that success often comes at a cost, and that cost is disproportionately borne by those who are young, inexperienced, and desperate to make their mark. But where does this leave us? Are we complicit in this system by consuming the music, the videos, and the content that fuel it? And more importantly, who will hold the powerful accountable for their actions? As we grapple with these questions, one thing is clear: the story of YK Osiris is far from over. It is a story that demands our attention, our empathy, and our action. Because until the industry is forced to confront its own darkness, there will always be another YK, another Usher, another Bieber, young stars whose light is dimmed by the very system that promised to make them shine. So we ask you, the viewers, what do you think? How much of this can we chalk up to industry gossip, and how much is a reflection of deeper, systemic issues? Are these young artists merely victims of circumstance, or is there something more calculated at play? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and join the conversation, because this isn't just about YK Osiris or Diddy or Bieber. This is about an industry that needs to change, and it starts with us asking the hard questions.